everyone. Um, so like I said in the last video that I would just try to look into this myself, and yeah, I have. What I've discovered is this that if I wanted to create my own sort of upload service, then I could do that and just have it stored here, right? So that I could decide to use maybe Feda's Blob and S3 Blob Store, combine them together to create my service. In doing so, I wouldn't need many of this. I would probably need uploads.class. I wouldn't need this. I wouldn't need the schema. I would just need this and this. In fact, this would be almost empty compared to what it is now. So, and in the other case, if I were to go with this instead, which to be candid, this library looks a bit heavier. So, but if I were to go with this instead, it means I kind of don't need any of this. In fact, I could just delete this. So I could just delete this. So and when I do that, I have to go into all these and just delete everything, right? So yeah. And also I have to go into the client and also delete this. The interesting part is I initially wanted to use that slash uploads for uploading videos and slash uploads whatever hash to kind of access those videos, which I can actually still do. But I kind of want to, instead of creating like a custom service, I want to use a service that depends on like SQL, so that the SQL part of the work would have been taken over. Like I don't need to have to do that from scratch again. I don't need to save to SQL myself. I don't need to write the query to do so anymore. I just need to leverage the service, like what the service provides to do so. Or I could still go with maybe using hinarts, like you use slash hinarts slash upload to upload like a video, and then access it using like slash inart slash whatever it is. But I feel like I should go for slash uploads to upload video, and then slash inart slash whatever it is, like the hash, to get access to the hinarts. So that's what I'm kind of having in mind. But then for the storage, like the storage service, because now I don't want to kind of create a storage service myself, since I'm trying to leverage this library. So in that case, since I'm trying to leverage this library, I kind of don't need to do it myself. So what I can do instead is I can create a class, call it s3.ts. So it's basically going to undo the object storage, or if I want to make this much more like robust, I could just call it store.ts, or maybe in fact just call it blobstore.ts. So there are some services that are actually usually registered around there. For example, authentication. Another one is yeah. Actually, it's not that one currently, but yeah, you can decide to register your service outside if it's kind of external. Maybe you're not the one that create the service, and it's simple to kind of initialize it. So I can just do this blobstore.ts, kind of weird. I could do this, or I could just use s3.ts. I want to use blobstore.ts just in case in the future maybe you want to kind of move from one particular object storage to another. And here I can import I don't even know what that stuff is called right now. So let me see what would happen if I try to import service. So, oh, I still even have that blob. Oops. So let me try to remove its feathers blob, because right now I kind of don't need it anymore. So I've removed it. Let's try again. Service. We get suggestion from Feathers Miller. We get suggestion from Feathers itself. Many things coming from Feathers. Okay. Which other one? Let's see. I can't see anything coming from the S3, Feathers S3. Interesting though. Okay, since I can't see it, I'm just going to see if I can see S3. Nothing like S3. In that case, this is Feathers S3. I would have to check for that in npm to get an idea of whether I needed to kind of still install the types separately or not. So this is npm. This guy is really writing libraries. Okay, so it's actually used TypeScript, so I don't have anything to worry about. Oh, this. I've seen this before. Which kind of example is this guy using? This is one thing I don't like about Feathers stuff. Like the libraries don't have good docs. Okay, this tried maybe to an extent. Weird. So there is a get service. So what's this used for? Like, you can simply use the target object URL in your HTML. Weird. I'm not doing any of this. All these are how do we import? That's the question. Thing is, I can't even see am I seeing two versions of this? Oh, I'm actually listening to versions of everything. Weird. I thought it's written in TypeScript. So I was wrong with the types. Pretty sure it doesn't exist. What is wrong with this? And I just followed it sheepishly. Okay, let me stay for it one more time. So in order to just avoid any issue, because I know how frustrating these libraries can be if you allow them to frustrate you. So I'm not going to be using this at all. In fact, let me see when last it was 53 weekly downloads too small. Last published 3 months ago. And the library actually has quite a good number of promises also. You can see some interesting stuff. The fact that it uses this S3 request presigner, which I think I was reading looking at the diagram that was drawn, and I was realizing that, because the thing is, when you kind of set up a public bucket, you sort of need to be able to kind of retrieve need to be able to kind of retrieve whatever you push to the bucket, the object that you stored in the bucket. And if it's a public bucket, yeah, you can use the URL. But then if it's a private bucket, you kind of need to get a signed URL, which kind of expires after a period of time. So if you get a signed URL, for example, it might expire depending on what you set, maybe 15 minutes later or so. So I think according to what he mentioned here, which was even one of the reasons I was looking forward to using it, if you can decide to kind of, so normally if you use it without the proxy that it provides, you go through the create route, make like a post request to the service, which kind of calls the get signed URL and send back the signed URL, or and you can make a direct fetch request to S3 and then get the E tag. But this, you can decide to go through with the proxy, and the proxy is just going to give you the E tag directly. Similarly, same thing happens with the multiparts. In the multiparts stuff, you sort of upload what you want, right? Get back an upload ID, which you can then send to get back the E tag. If that makes sense. So it's kind of interesting actually, but there are a lot of things that I'm pretty sure that, if given that I'm saying that there was just like an issue or so, just one issue if I'm not mistaken, meaning a lot of people are not really using this library, which means we can't say it's battle tested yet, and I just have to leave it alone rather than go with it and then run into problems. So I've deleted this, so I'm just going to install Fedas blob, and then I'm going to install S3 blob store. This one is kind of old, but what choice do we have? So I'm going to install S3 blob store. Let's see where this leads us. So I can simply just enter like feathers blob, just to confirm if we're going to be needing, we need to be installing the types or not. So I think it already supports TypeScript, and let's see whether the same thing applies for the S3 blob store. Okay, this doesn't look like something that even have any support for TypeScript at all. In fact, it looks old. It looks older than the GCP's version 5 years ago. Jeez, can we use this? Oops. I don't know if I can use this because and if I don't use it, it means I have to kind of extend this abstract blob store, create like a service that extends this. Why hasn't someone released something like that? Like release something else that does this? And where it does more weekly upload. So wait, I thought I just installed something now. Okay, installed. Good to know. So I think I'll just go with what's the name again? What's the name of the store again? So right now I think I'm just going to rename this to uploads. Sort of weird. I think blob store is fine. Yeah, blob store is fine. So let me see, I need to kind of confirm how it's being used. So I'm going to switch back to like how I'm going to import it. Basically, that's just what I want to know. Weirdly, I'm not being told. I actually need to also install this AWS SDK because I'll obviously be needing it. As you can see, the S3 blob store was also used here. And then it was imported as blob service. Nice, okay. I just need blob service. So let me install AWS SDK. Normally these SDKs are usually large, so it might take a while. And I can kind of even confirm how large it is by just going to check it out. Okay, that was fast. Doesn't look that large compared to Google's. Maybe I won't notice it yet until I start typing. So okay, just install this usage with TypeScript. Okay, supports TypeScript. This is what we are talking about. If it was an Express, I don't even need all those service stuff. Just I need those service here because to be easier to manage these things. I don't want to kind of write many, especially for this upload stuff. It can be annoying. I don't want to write it from scratch. So I'm avoiding that. Like if I'm going to do it, that means that's just last resort. Okay, you can import the entire SDK. I don't want that. You can import individual service. I want that. Okay, so let's see. So I'm going to return back to the main listing. So here, this is the API. To initialize this, I just have to pass the options to it. And for the options, I need to pass a model, which is the S3 blob store that we store. That's the model, because that model kind of has to instantiate the interface that kind of implements the abstract blob store. I could take you to the abstract blob store to see what it looks like if you want that. That's easily done. So here we go. Basically, if you check this out, the goal of this module is to define a de facto. It's note that it's not tied to what is wrong with this thing. It's not tied to feathers. It's just like an npm thing or a JavaScript thing or a TypeScript thing, whatever you want to call it. That. So a test suite an interface to you can use to implement streaming file blob storage modules for various storage backends and platforms. So yeah, you can use it for whatever storage platforms, right, or backends. For example, S3, GCS. So most of those libraries they kind of implement this, right? They kind of implement this. This is just like an it just provides like an interface for you to sort of like this kind of standard de facto like interface, and you can then implement it. That's why I was looking at that S3 blob store then, and I was like, oops, I don't want to do this from scratch because I know it extends this, and I could come here and try to kind of do similar stuff for this. And it's you can see that it's also part of this. We also have the one for Postgres where you can kind of wait Postgres. Sorry, I was also surprised. Let me see. Maybe there's something I'm not aware of yet. Torrent blob store. Oh, that would be interesting to check out, but not today. Google Drive blobs. Wow, I didn't know that exists. Okay, it doesn't use byte A, but it's saving the binary file in text format as base 64 string. It's very experimental since I have no clue about Postgres. Okay. Basically, it simply means do not trust me yet. So, I think I would like to check it out. At least this is looking really cool. It's looking really cool, actually. Very cool. I'm liking this. I'm already liking this. So, but then, that's by the way. I was also seeing Meta Blob Store, and I'm kind of wondering, does Meta also have like a Blob Store? It's sort of interesting to realize that. So for these torrents, let me see. This will be useful if I'm downloading something big. So contributors, when was the last time? Years ago. So that means this must have existed a long time. Wow. I feel like a child right now. Okay, so yeah, there we have it. And so the model in this case is S3 blob store, then the ID, that is what we'll be using for the blob identifier. That means you just pass like a key, what you would like to be the key for the blob identifier. If you don't pass anything, I think it defaults to ID. In our case, I don't think we need to pass anything. Then we have the return URL. If you set this to true, it means you want to get back the URI. And to be kind of honest, it's not it's not a URL in this case. Yeah, it's a sort of you can use it kind of to identify the blob or the object, but then it's more like most times usually in form of like a base 64 string, so it's pretty long. So and it's most times unnecessary because if you are sending, you can decide to send a URI to this service and it will store it for you. And then if you're asking it to return back that URI to you, that's kind of weird. Same thing with the return buffer. You can decide to send a buffer to it. Normally, these things are set to false by default. You can just set them to true if you want to get back the buffer. It's not something that they prepare for you. Yeah, if you send URI, there's a possibility that if you set this to true, you get the buffer that they prepared for you, right? But same thing here. But then I wouldn't do that. So these and these are mutually exclusive. So if you want to do this, if you want a buffer output instead of a data URI, you need to set this to true. Also to set this to be false. That is, you can only get one basically, so just go for that one. If you need both, use the default option, then extract the buffer from the data URI on the client side to avoid transferring the data twice over the wire. If I told you I understand that, I would be joking. Okay, so there we go. They gave an example using AWS. So let's kind of use this example. I can see them using get base 65. Do I need this? I doubt I need this. Like, I don't. Oh, I don't need it, truly. Yeah. So in this case, I just want to kind of set up the service, and to do that, that's just going to be here. So I'm going to import. I'm going to import the blob S3 blob store. So we'll be having something like this: S3 blob store. Hopefully that doesn't fail. And then Amazon. Any other thing? Nothing really. So first thing we want to do is to kind of set this up. So we can't do that outside of here. I thought as much. Thought as much. Given this thing is old, this thing might not work. Oh boy. Don't do this to me right now. To be candid, if it does this to me, I might switch. I might not use S3 anymore. I just use GCS. At least GCS works. Okay, this is not funny because I'm not interested in implementing this. Damn. Okay, I think I would have to stop here just to kind of figure out maybe I should switch from S3 to GCS. I kind of want to use S3 because I plan to use Lambda later for the mem generation. So I want to use Lambda functions that will be triggered by the uploads basically. So yeah. Okay, come in. I need to start figure out what is it I want. So, but for the meantime, let me just kind of yeah. Most times I would need to set this. So I need to sort of set this most times, and that's simply because I'll be exporting and in this case it's not authentication, so I have to kind of change that blob store. And yeah, I kind of have to so I kind of have to do some things. First of all, step 1, create instantiate the AWS SDK. Step 2, set up the blob store model. Then step 3. So basically it's like the idea. So what is standing in our way currently is the setting up of the blob store model. So yeah. And cool. Oops, all those things are being deleted. Well, we'll bring them back. So We'll pick up from here. I need to kind of think of some things, so I'll be back. Thank you. See you in the next episode.